surely, I know there's a lot of questions out there tonight, and I want to encourage you to get to the microphone there in the hall and get your questions out to the candidates this evening. We're going to begin in the order in which our candidates were introduced. And to begin with, and I do want to say to the candidates, you can come to the podium, you can stand, you can sit, whatever you want to do for your 2-minute statement. Marcia will be there with the lights. They'll get a 15-second warning, that time is about to expire, and then the second warning, that time is up. So, first up, Fred McCardle. Fred?
Ladies and gentlemen, although healthcare is important and I'll be happy to answer questions, there is an emerging crisis equally important I would like to address. The crisis is well summed up in a letter to the editor in Charlottetown's Guardian newspaper. Where is the outrage over power rates? There should be outrage. People's power rates went up 20% in 1 month. This is more than putting businesses and farmers at a competitive disadvantage. This is about causing thousands of people on fixed incomes to fear losing their homes. How do we get into a situation where one private monopoly can bankrupt a whole province? We get into this situation because Premier Robert Giz and his Liberal government allowed this to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, I promise here tonight, as leader of the Progressive Conservative Party and as Premier of PEI after the election of 2011, the province of PEI will purchase the shares of Maritime Electric and end the charade of rate hikes that is crippling our economy. It's becoming very clear this Premier and this government are not up to the job. The promised bioscience park is a field of yellow weeds. The 500-megawatt wind farm is 6 megawatts. The 38 recommendations of the nitrate report, absolutely nothing done. The Premier is the first in the winner's circle or at the medal podium, but he hasn't been seen on the fishing docks or the farmyards at PEI lately. When this government rural initiative was launched in January, he was on holiday in Mexico. When the Conference of Maritime Premiers and New England Governors was held in Massachusetts, he was hanging around Charlottetown looking for a photo op with Regis and Kelly. The first line of the PEI Electric Act states, whereas the rates, tolls, and charges for electric power should be reasonable, publicly justifiable, and not discriminatory. Let's uphold the law.
Thank you. Healthcare is personal. It's about you, it's about your loved ones, it's about your family and your friends. Healthcare is extremely complex. We have new technologies, we have new medicines, we have terrific professionals in the system that can keep an infant baby, even a premature baby, alive and live a very good quality of life. Healthcare is expensive. The Giz government continues to make inappropriate decisions with your money on health care. They say no to an investment to the Alzheimer's Society, yet hire a wine and a beer expert. They hire a consultant, pay $250,000 to tell the province how many physicians we need. And I'm sure there's people in the audience who can tell us many stories when health care does not work for them. And the Giz government, what did they do? They create an arm's-length agency with no accountability back to the elected people. A government led by myself would invest in RNs who are interested in becoming nurse practitioners, would invest in the 25,000 to 30,000 people who require drug coverage by expanding the family drug program, would invest in creating dual licenses for community care and long-term care beds to take the pressure off acute care. And finally, a government led by myself would have accountability directly back to the elected people, no matter who's providing health care services. Thank you.
Starting now?
Now.
It's going now. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, healthcare is in crisis. I don't think that's anything that's new to anybody here, but failure is not an option.
But that's what we're getting right now. We're getting failure. We have two major issues when it comes to health care. One's in funding and one's in confidence. The financial, the expenditure side of it grew 25% in the last 2 years. We know we can't sustain that. And we have a confidence level in the system at an all-time low. The public's confidence is low in our institutions. The morale and the confidence of our health professionals, those men and women who go to work every day to provide us with the best possible health care that they can, they just have the stuffing knocked out of them by this government. But it's not a problem we can fix in 1 year. And it's not a problem that we can fix one piece at a time. We have a national system that's in trouble. And what I propose to do as Premier is that we develop a 10-year plan using the public, the health professionals, and all of the providers that allows us to put the plan in place that takes us from here to the team model, the collaborative model, where you get the most appropriate care by the most appropriate health professional in the most appropriate setting. So how do we afford to do that? How do we get from here to here? If we have the plan, we go to Ottawa with Gail Shea and Mike Duffy and the other MPs that we're going to have after the next election, and we present a pilot. We use our size to our advantage and say, we need to fix the Canadian health system, let's do it in PEI. We have the way to do it, we have the will to do it, and we will have the government that will do it. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming. I know a lot about healthcare in that for 25 years, I've dealt with healthcare in a different way. I've gone to accidents. I've seen people put in the back of ambulances and go to hospitals. I've gone into people's houses and seen how they've dealt with issues related to mental illness, abuse, and them types of things. I've also dealt with my wife, who's had health issues. I've dealt with a son who was almost crushed and lost his life. And I've seen where healthcare is today. We can't wait. We can't have patience. We've got to move forward now. As the Premier of PEI, I'm going to take a different approach. I'm going to get directly involved in the healthcare system. I think that's where we've gone astray. Governments have come into power before, and they put policies in place, and they've done studies, and they shelved them. They've never moved forward with them. I think we need to take a team approach. We take the nurses, and we take the doctors, and we take the politicians, and we work at it together. And that's what I'm offering to you. As the Premier of this province, I will become directly involved in healthcare on a day-to-day basis. I will go into the hospitals, I will go into the manors, and we will start educating the people and making us a healthier lifestyle so that we can provide the best care possible with the money that we have. And that's my commitment, is to put healthcare number one, to become directly involved and to work together with everybody to solve the problems. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Healthcare is probably the only service right now that we have that affects every one of us. It affects us from birth to death. It is one of the services that we are in conflict with mostly, and it is one of the services that is the most expensive for PEI. We've heard about escalating costs of over $500 million, but how do we explain escalating costs when we don't see more people on the front end? We don't see more nurses and more doctors. We don't see people dealing with you and I and our loved ones, but we do see escalating costs. A lot of the problems in our healthcare right now is to do with poor management. You know, and when we look at managing a government or a healthcare, it's about managing all the aspects of it. I come from a seafood background, and I was in a seafood plant today, and we were talking about healthcare. They're really concerned about the wait times in the ER. And what they said to me is, we schedule people every day. We have to schedule the people in 3 shifts, yet we go into the ER and we wait for 10 hours. Why can't we make healthcare work like it works everywhere else in this world and everywhere else in our lives. Healthcare has to be managed. Healthcare will continue to rise in cost, but unless we start managing it as we do the other parts of the economy, it is going to consume us. People here today are looking to government for political answers. For 30 years, we've looked to politicians to fix healthcare, and for 30 years, we've been disappointed. I'm taking a different approach. As Premier, I have a background in developing and changing and making things work. It's what I do as a living. It's what I've done for 25 or 30 years. I'm not making political promises. I'm simply offering my experience in making healthcare work, and I'm looking for your support. Thank you.